Okay, hello viewers. We are recording a new episode of our podcast today. Our guest today is someone who happens to be a mathematician in her current life, but she has also been and probably also still is in the world of professional sports. So she has played hockey professionally, football professionally, and yeah, it's just very interesting to find someone who has had a past like that in academia at the moment. So let's welcome Jule Hänel. So Jule, let me begin from the beginning. Like, can you say a few words about how you first got into professional sports, be it hockey or football?
So yeah, football came in later. So I started playing hockey when I was 5 years old, and I actually didn't have a choice because all my family played hockey. My grandfather already played hockey. My father, all his brothers, my mother's brothers, so they all played hockey, and then there was more or less no choice for me, and then I also began to love it.
And football?
And football, I always liked to play it on the street with my brother. And when I started playing in university, I always played with the boys. And then I thought somehow I really want more. I'm just that kind of person that wants that professional. I want to play in a league. I want to do a competition. And so about 4 or 5 years ago, I asked in a football club whether I could start playing. Yeah, I started playing in a lower league and then in a higher league, and yeah, now I'm back to normal life again. But yeah, that's how it all started.
What was the name of this football club?
Of the football club, so the first one was Wuppertaler SV, which is a quite big football club over here, but they didn't have a women's team. So they started a new women's team, and then they said, okay, let's try to get some good girls there. And then I tried the training, and they said, yeah, we want you. And yeah, that's where I began.
Okay, and I mean, between football and hockey, I remember you telling me this in some form earlier, but I probably am mixing it up in my head. So you played hockey for Germany at under something level, is that right?
Yes, exactly. So when I started playing hockey, I was like a midfielder, and then there was a point when I was about 11 or 12 years old when my team wasn't so happy with the goalkeeper because she was really afraid of the ball. And then we all thought, okay, everyone has to try it. Everyone had to try to be goalkeeper. And then I tried it, and I had so much fun. And I said, I really want to do that. And so for 1 year, I did the two things. I played as a midfielder and as a goalkeeper. And then when the time came with 12 or 13, there begins the stage of the selection teams. First, very regional, very small. And then my trainer said to me, Jule, I would like to send you there. So maybe they have a look at you and maybe you get selected. But the problem is, unfortunately, I don't know whether I can send you as a goalkeeper or as a midfielder. You can do both. You have to decide. And so that was quite a tough point in my life where I had to decide. And I decided to be goalkeeper. And yeah, I got selected, and I got selected to the higher regional team, and then I got selected finally in the under 16 national team. And yeah, that was basically it. And before I got to the under 18 team, there was a point for me when I said, that's a bit too much pressure for me. I don't really want that high amount of pressure in my life, because as a goalkeeper, it's quite a tough position. If you do a mistake, you can't run and get back the ball as a midfielder or something. But if you do a mistake, then well, it's a goal usually. And so I stopped being a goalkeeper, or at least in the national team. And then I went back to my roots, to my small club, and said, now I want to be an offender again. I want to play. I don't want to play in the goal anymore. But after 1 year, of course, again, I did, because you can't really let that go. And I started again playing in the second league, and then later also in the first league and stuff like that. Because well, I learned not to put too much pressure on myself, but still I really want to reach things. I really want to win and stuff like that. So that was basically my journey through the under 16 national team.
And I'm guessing around then, well, by around then, you had already started to notice that you like, I don't know, maths.
Well, at that point when I quit, so the official reason, I didn't tell them, well, I told them that it was too much pressure for me, but the official reason was that I was doing my Abitur. It's the German version of finishing school.
A levels, yeah.
And, yeah, and I really wanted to study medicine, so I needed really good grades. And then that's when I said, that's the reason why I quit. Of course, that wasn't the reason. And then
What
I
was the
started
reason?
studying medicine. So basically, no, I didn't like maths at that moment.
You started studying medicine,
Yes.
as in to become a medical doctor.
Yes.
And I'm guessing you stopped that at some point?
Yes, I
Or
stopped that after
are you
1 year.
still secretly studying medicine?
I really like it still, yes. So the problem for me is that I really like, or I'm really interested in the whole world. And so actually my strongest subjects in school were always languages.
Mm-hmm.
And but I was sure I didn't really want to do stuff with languages because that's not really, doesn't have a future. I thought about becoming a teacher, but then I thought, no, with your good grades, you have to do something. So I wanted to do medicine. But when I started it, I just didn't really like it. I didn't like the bureaucracy behind it, and you can't really help people that much as you imagine. And yeah, then after 1 year, I thought, no, I will quit and I will do something that I'm really interested in. But that still wasn't mathematics, like purely because I said, no, I'm going to do mathematics and philosophy, like not
Okay.
as a subsidiary subject, but really as two big things. And
Mm-hmm.
after 1 year, of course, I fell in love and I switched to only mathematics with philosophy only as a small part. And
Right.
that's how it came. So there was the bachelor's and then the master's, and then my professor said,
Yeah.
how would you like to do a PhD?
Yeah. And just a question on your formative years in hockey. So when you are playing for the under 16 team, or when you have been selected for the under 16 team, how does school work? Like, I'm guessing you're still a student at some school. Do you have to
Yes,
take breaks from your school life, like
yes,
almost like
yes.
always?
It's a tough question. So I was one of the students that missed the most lessons in
Right.
school. And that was not because I always ditched, because yeah, it's, for example, like if the national team meets, you can't meet like around the corner and go there every day because people from all over the country have to come there. So usually the training sessions are 1 week or 1.5 weeks. And for this time, like we train in these training sessions twice or 3 times a day. And we eat together and we live together in sort of like sports schools, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And then for this time, you always get like a letter from the Deutsche Hockeybund, from the um, German Hockey
Hockey ball.
Association.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and then they tell the school, okay, please let her go for that 1 week. We need her for the national team. And that's when for 1 week I stayed out of school. And that happened a lot because also, like when you have a tournament in Spain, of course, you can't just go for the weekend. So I
Yeah.
really missed a lot of lessons.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I could cope that. It was fine for me, but it was tough. So we did get, there were a lot of fights with my, I remember once with my, what was she? She was a teacher, but she was like responsible for all of the students in the last or almost last year. And so she was the one I had to deal with when
Yeah.
asking for this. And then it got so bad that my mom had to come
Right.
because she just didn't understand. For her, it was only school, 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 and national team.
Right.
she knew me from 5th grade on, but in the end she didn't even know if I was playing hockey on field or on ice. So what she then said, my mom said, so look, my daughter has really good grades. She almost has an A in every subject. And then the teacher says, yeah, but there are students that have A's in every subject. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, but it's not
Yeah,
really
yeah,
the
yeah.
point, is it? So it was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, I remember once I was in a sort of similar situation with my parents. I had qualified for the national level of some Olympiad, of the maths Olympiad, and I had to prepare for the next exam, like the next Olympiad exam. And there was like a month in between the announcement of the results of the first round and the exam of the second round. And during that very month, my school was going to have some exams. So my parents went over to the school and they negotiated something and they came back and said, okay, you don't have to go to school this whole month. I was like, okay, that's great.
Oh.
Much later, I realized that their negotiation skills were really poor because the school did not record me as absent during those exams. They just gave me 0 in all the exams. So like, what's the point? It's just like I bunked a whole month.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what is the like staying still like on hockey? What is the let's say hierarchy of tournaments in under 16 women's hockey? Is there a World Cup? Is there a Euro Championship? Is there
no? So there are some, but not every country does it. So for example, in Germany, there's not yet a World Cup, not yet in a European World Cup, there's not yet Olympic Games and stuff like that. Olympic Games is usually the big thing for hockey. And yeah, the only things there, so it was called a Four Nations tournament. That was the biggest thing for under 16. So we went to Spain and we played against Spain, England, and the Netherlands, which are basically the biggest hockey nations in Europe.
Okay, so not Italy or
no.
France. Okay.
No, they weren't there at the moment. So under 16, of course, they still have to grow. So it's not really, it should be something special to do a World Cup and stuff. So
I understand.
I'm not sure. I think under 18 already has World Cups and European Championships.
That makes sense because even in football, there is an under 18 World Cup.
Yes. But under 16 is still have to get going, have to get used to the pressure.
So how many Four Nations tournaments did you play? One?
Yes.
And what was your team's performance like in that tournament?
It was, so that was tough because, well, nowadays hockey pitches are usually blue. You would imagine a grass pitch being green, and that was like it in former days. But when I went to Spain, it was the first hockey pitch I saw that was blue, and I was like, why is it blue? But it's for the cameras, so you can see the ball better.
Really?
Yes.
And is it like flexi-cushion or is it grass still?
It's artificial grass.
Okay.
With water in there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And so that was the first point when I was like, oh, wow, this is really a big thing here. It's tough. And of course, you're not there as the only goalkeeper. So we were 2 goalkeepers there. And then, there were 3 matches. So there were 3 matches in the pre whatever, and then the 4th match as the final, or the other one, the small final, that's what they say, where you play for being 3rd place. And so I was quite honored because I was allowed to play the important games. I was allowed to play the first game in the tournament against England. And that was tough because the first game you are there, and then you sing the hymn, and it's it's really tough. My father came there by car to watch me play my first national team game, and it was really awesome. And I think we won against England. Then we had a match against the Netherlands, which the other goalkeeper played. but it was clear that we would lose that because the Netherlands are really, really good. And so we lost it, I think 5-0 or something like that. And so I was allowed to play the next important game. So the final game of the pre-round against Spain. And I vividly remember that because it was a lot of pressure because he said, Jule, you're going to play the important game. We want to be in the final and whatever. And we had to win. And it was 1-0 for us a long time. And then in the end, there was a last penalty corner. And I was so nervous and the ball got through my feet and really slowly. So it was really tough. And it was 1-1 and then we didn't get to the finals. So I had a good performance, but usually the things I remember are only the bad things. So
what year was this?
What year was this? Something like 2012 or something.
Okay. I was just trying to see if I could find the tournament or some, like some footage on YouTube, but it will take some time.
No, I think I'm not sure if it was that if they already had like YouTube streams and stuff like that. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And can we talk about football for a few minutes now? So is it correct to say that you played football professionally just like you played hockey professionally?
No, definitely not. No. So I started when I was already an adult. And so when I started, I played in the lowest league because it was a new team. And then it was that a higher team, a team of a higher league, watched me play and said, Jule, don't you want to play here? And so I did that and I played fourth league. But after half a season, I never quit hockey. So I always played both. And then I wanted to go for football. But then the other goalkeeper on my team, she quit in hockey. So I said, okay, I can't do that. I can't just quit hockey and leave them without a goalkeeper. So I did both things. But of course, in fourth league football, you can't do that. So I quit the football team, the higher one again. And now I play around the corner in a local football team and play whenever hockey allows it.
But is it, so that's still professional, right? Like it's not amateur level?
I think you call it amateur, but it's in a club, so it's still, I think, organized would be the right.
No. Professional, well, the way I know it, professional has a very simple definition. Like the club will have to pay you to play.
No, but that doesn't happen in hockey at all.
Even in hockey, that doesn't happen?
No. So, well, it did happen when I played first league.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me money for driving, but in hockey that doesn't happen. Wait,
then what is the association giving the players? Just the opportunity to play?
Yeah, well, at some point they give you, don't know, a car or maybe a flat or something like that. They help you with that stuff. But all the national players nowadays have normal jobs. Many are medicals, many are doctors. People have normal jobs.
And is it like
really tough. It's really tough for them to do a medical doctor while there's a German championship. I don't know. So that's
sure, of course. I mean, it is one thing taking a break from proving theorems, but taking a break from surgery course or something like.
And especially, I remember during the Olympic Games, one of the national players was doing his exams, so he had to ditch a few trainings to do his exam, but he also had to ditch a few courses to continue training for the Olympic Games. So there's not really hockey can't really be played professionally in Germany.
Oh, so this is a thing even with men's hockey, you're saying? Okay.
So I think they do get a bit of money, but it's never enough to live only off hockey.
Right. Even for like people in their late 20s.
Even like for the best.
Okay. Like even for people who are playing for Germany at the Olympics or whatever.
Yes.
That is quite interesting.
Maybe nowadays it changed a bit, but I don't think a lot. So in the Netherlands, I think you can do that.
Yeah, even in India, I believe there are
Yes.
people who get sponsorships from various things. But we will talk about India and that film
Yes.
later. Let's stay.
They also have the Super League there, don't they?
They do have the Super League. I had totally forgotten about that. Yeah, you know way more about Indian hockey than I do, obviously.
I don't think so.
No. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the things that happened in your hockey life after you turned 16. So after you turned 16, as you said, like you finished school, you wanted to study medicine, you enrolled at some university to study medicine, then you changed to maths and philosophy, and then you changed to just maths. What was happening in your hockey life or football life when, let's say, by the time you had changed to just maths, were you still playing hockey a lot?
Yes. So when I turned 16, I went back to my local club and played quite high. But then after I quit medicine, I went to another local club, the club where I play now, which is very small and not very good. So I quit basically playing hockey on a high level. But after
Right.
1 year or two, there was a club in Leverkusen, and they said to me, "Jule, we need."
Leverkusen.
Yes.
Okay. For a moment, I thought you said Liverpool. Yeah, no.
No, it's not Liverpool. It would be great. Liverpool would be nice, but no, it was
Yeah.
Leverkusen, where they do all the farmer. They have all the farmer industry
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
They said to me, "Jule, we need a goalkeeper for the first league next season." And I said, "Well, okay, I'm doing that." So I went to Leverkusen and played there first league, and it was awesome again to play on that higher level. And actually, I never played on that high level before, because under 16 they're still young. But
So,
then playing in the first league, that was really awesome. And then I was ambitious again, and then I said, well, can't I have a second chance in the national team, like in the women's national team? And so I talked to the people that remembered me, that were my trainers from long ago, and they said, "Okay, I'm going to talk to the trainer." And then the national trainer said to me, "Okay, Jule, people talked really good about you. I'm going to give you a second chance." So it starts with 1 year or half a year of athletical training. So what I did at that time, my week was very tough. So for example, Mondays I had late in the evening goalkeepers training in Cologne. And then Tuesday in the morning I had athletical training, so sprints and stuff like that in Cologne again. And in the evening Leverkusen, and then Wednesday again Leverkusen, and Thursday in the morning again like running and stuff like that, and in the evening again Leverkusen. So I really trained a lot. I had to take the train at 5 o'clock in the morning to arrive on time. It was really tough, but and then in the end I had like one of those training weeks, but it was only to do athletical tests with the national team. And I was there with the women's national team, and it was really good because I really got good results. Although I didn't know the exercises before as the others did, I got really good results. I was better than most of them, although I'm a goalkeeper, and I really was on fire. And then one match in the first league against basically the best team, where they also have many national players. The national trainer was there. Of course, gladly, I didn't know that before, because it would have made me very nervous. But I had one of the best matches in my life ever. And after the game, he came to me and said, "Jule, well done. Really well done. Congratulations. Really good." And then a week later, he sent me an email. So I was really, well, not surprised, but I was quite happy of your performance. And so next step will be for you European or World Championship indoor. So indoor is always a bit smaller than outdoor. But of course, for me, it was awesome, because I prefer indoor. And the thing was that was already a big step to come into. So you get a second chance, and immediately you get the chance to play European or World Cup. But then my knee, I tore my ligament in the knee, and I couldn't play. And yeah, after that, I said to myself, okay, it's just not meant to be.
This can't have been that many years ago, right?
No, it wasn't that many. It was like 4 or 5 years ago.
5 years ago. So you were like in your first year of university or towards the end of like high school?
No, I was in my, so I already had 1 year of medicine and then about 1 year of mathematics, or already 2.
Oh,
maybe.
right. This is 2022. So yeah, so 5 years back.
I think it was already, yeah. I was already writing my my bachelor thesis at that moment.
Right.
I think that's
yeah. And how did the injury to your ligament affect your football career?
So that was very interesting, because usually people say when you tear your ligament, it's like you will note it for the rest of your life, but it really was no problem. So after that, I still played hockey. So I didn't go. I changed from Leverkusen again to the smaller club where I play now, because I said, okay, now I'm basically, well, not giving up, but accepting that it's not meant for me. And yeah, then of course I got a bit bored, because I really lacked this high level of sports, and so I decided to start football. And I never noticed my knee. I do have back problems though, but that's the age.
Not the age. What about the fact that, well, I mean, by the time you're starting your PhD, you still have a hockey life of sorts, not of sorts, like a proper hockey life to take care of. So how does that work? Like there is, well, being a professional hockey player, being a serious hockey player while you're a bachelor student or a master student is one thing, but I'm guessing it would be a completely different ball game doing it while you are doing a PhD in a serious subject on a serious topic. So how does that balance work for you?
Yes, so my hockey life is not restricted to only me playing. So I also have, because my father's also a hockey trainer, so I always want to somehow stay loyal to him. And so what I do now is I give goalkeeper training, and that's what I do. I do that weekly in Felbert, and sometimes occasionally for other clubs. And also I train the second women's team. So that's not really a small amount of my time. And for example, yesterday I had 3 matches. I had a football match in the morning, I had a hockey match at 3, and then I had the second hockey match at 5 where I was the trainer. So the Sundays are quite tough. And yeah, I say it like that. So on the one hand, it really helps me to do sports with my mathematical thinking, because like if I'm really tired, or if I get my energy going, then I really can concentrate better. So of course that's the activity that really lacks if you don't do it. Then on the other hand, I would be bored if I didn't do something like that, so my life was never only one thing. And of course it now takes a lot of concentration, my PhD, but I never could leave other stuff behind, because of course it's my priority, but I could never say I quit everything else. But I have an agreement with my trainers. When I came to this football club, I said it can be that I can't come during a week, or that I can only come at most once a week, and Sundays I only come when it fits. So in football that's fine. In hockey it's a bit more difficult, because I'm the goalkeeper, of course. And of course, there's a stronger bond to hockey. But the hockey trainer knows me from after my medicine studies and before Leverkusen. I played there, so he knows me really, really well. And he knows that's fine. He knows he can count on me, but he knows I also have different priorities now, and that's fine for everyone. So the key to doing that is actually communication with the trainers, with the team. They all know that. There's nobody don't know, disappointed when I don't come to training every day, because I don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's really commendable, like doing this at the same time as doing a PhD. Like, it's not exactly having a hobby, right? It's much more serious than having a
Yes.
hobby. Like, I knew people during my PhD years who used to, you know, like do rock climbing
Cool.
on Saturdays or Sundays, or used to go fencing or something. But this is at a completely different level. Regarding the coaching thing you mentioned, didn't you once mention, like, to me, in conversation, that you own a coaching company, like you have a coaching company of your own?
Yes. Well,
When was that established? When was that set up?
this year. So I started
Okay.
basically I think 1 year ago in December. I had my first client, but it's not really a company because I don't have people that work for me. So it's just a company in the official sense.
Did you have to get it registered somewhere?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so it's a company.
So yeah, well, but it's a one-person company. So
Yeah, sure.
why I have to do that is so I'm allowed to do how do you say, I have to write bills, you know, for other people, invoices.
Invoices, yeah.
Yes, and that's why I did that, and that's what I do.
Yeah. No, but I mean, you mentioned earlier that your dad was also a hockey trainer, is also a hockey trainer.
Yes.
So did that help you in any way when you were setting up this company?
Yes, because it has the same name. So my father has a company, apart from being a hockey trainer. What he also does is he trains the trainers, so all the licenses pass through him.
Okay.
And then he has a club consulting thing. So he coaches clubs in doing concepts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's called Hockey Fit. That's his name. So he came up with that many years ago, even before, I think before I was born, he already had it. And now I have the Hockey Fit Goalkeeper Academy. So
it's just called Hockey Fit Goalkeepers Academy, the company you own.
Yes.
And the company he owns is called just Hockey Fit.
No, it's Hockey Fit Hockey Academy and Hockey Fit Goalkeeper Academy. That's the difference.
Yeah. You know, a skeptic might say you were sort of, like, when you were setting it up, like you were utilizing the fact that there was this name recognition with this
no, he's not really
with the name, sorry.
So so actually he offered that to me.
Yeah.
It was quite a very cute moment, because my father's not one person of being quite, you know. And so one day he said to me, Jule, so I know you want to do this goalkeeper thing and you're thinking about names.
Yeah.
How would you like that to use my name? And that was so cute that of course I did that.
Yeah.
That was so.
No, I wasn't suggesting anything sinister, obviously.
No, but even if it had a big reputation, so it does, but I think not under the name. So he does have a big reputation, but I think the name of this consulting, it's not his biggest where he earns money. So it's not his biggest area. So I think people don't even know really the name. So but even if they did, I think it would have been a nice idea to use that reputation for my goalkeeper academy. But it's not really necessary, on the other hand, because I don't want 1 million people to be my clients, because I don't have the time. I just do a little bit. I'm not for profit and stuff like that, because I'm a PhD student.
So do you think after you finished your PhD, you might want to be, well, I don't want to say be more serious about the hockey part of your life, but would you want to try to be professional again? Or would you want to stay in research, like in mathematical research, after you're done with your PhD?
Well, neither the one thing nor the other. So I don't want to get more serious with hockey, because, well, on the one hand, I don't want to get too serious anymore with playing because I already noticed my body and I like it how it is now. Someday I want to have a family. So now that part is over and that's fine. Getting more serious with the goalkeeper academy would be an option, but I think there are bigger ways to help the world, you know. So I still haven't found my purpose in life. I really want to do want to go to industry in the beginning, do some consulting, because I really want to get to know the industry.
Yeah.
And after a few years, when I know how they are, I want to do something that really makes a change and helps people and in a bigger context, you know. And so hockey, it's nice, but it's not my life purpose anymore, and it will probably never be again.
The purpose thing is really interesting. Like even for me, like whenever I think of that question for myself, I think of this very famous scene from a film by Woody Allen called Hannah and Her Sisters. So in it, there is this character played by Woody Allen who is thinking about death a lot. Like he thinks he's about to die, and he has this thing that he needs to be. Sorry, there's some construction work going on. Typical. You know. Yes. So he has this thing on his head or somewhere, and he goes to the doctors, and the doctors say, well, we'll have to run some tests and we will let you know. So before he gets his results, he is very worried. Then he gets the result, everything is fine. He is happy. Then he realizes, wait a second, I'm going to die anyway. And he then goes around looking for a religion to believe in. So at some point, someone says to him, so he goes to like a Hindu thing, and they ask him, okay, what was the religion you were born into? He said, well, I was born into Judaism, but last winter I tried Catholicism, and it was more like die now, pay later. So anyway, so the point of this story is, for me, when I ask myself what's my purpose, even in maths. So I be like, last winter I tried representation theory. It was like prove theorems now, think later. Yes. But anyway, like even within maths, just within the very small realm of pure maths research in algebra, even I can't find my purpose. So yeah, I have a lot of sympathy for someone like you who might say that they are not sure about their purpose in life in general. I wanted to ask you, so about this company, like 10 years from now, if it is still in existence, would you be like, my point is like, would you be looking into hiring people to run the company soon, or will you always be in a central administrative position within it?
No, so I already have a few people who help me. So in my club, where I do the goalkeepers training, I have people who help me, co-trainers, and they would be people I would pass that over to. But in the other companies, so in the other clubs, I mean, it's like that usually I say, it would be nice to have help. So send me some of your co-trainers from the club. And I also coach the trainers. So I don't want to so my goalkeeper academy is not only for the goalkeepers, but also for the trainers to pay more attention to goalkeepers. So that's why I usually don't bring any help, because I also coach the help that I get. So I get help from the club. But I do have people who I trust. But the thing is, goalkeeper training, like there's not really a license you can do. So it's a tough business. Not many people know about that. Not many people know the techniques and stuff. So I think the first thing I would have to do is write a book. write a book about the techniques and stuff. That would be an idea.
But then people will buy your book and not come to your company, right?
Yes, but then before I hire people for my company, I would have to educate them the way like I intended to be. And of course, knowing about goalkeepers and giving good goalkeeper training is still a huge difference. Right. So for example, I can put an exercise in the book, and people do that, and I can also put the common mistakes in the book and stuff like that, but really seeing the mistakes as a trainer. And for example, also the timing, like if you say, okay, I'm going to give you one ball over there and one ball over there, it can't be too fast, it can't be too slow, you really have to get the timing. So it's not that easy to be a goalkeeper trainer as some people think it is. So it would, I think a book would not.
I didn't realize some people thought that, but yeah. And what are your future plans with football?
So there's one small thing that I keep thinking about that might be in the future. So recently there was a new law a new football law that allows girls or women to play in the men's team in the lowest league.
Really?
Yes, and I already went to training in the men's team.
Okay.
And so that might be an idea, because that's simply fun, and people are very ambitious there, and it's just fun, but it's still not a professional level. So that might be an idea for me. And also, for example, I really prefer playing indoors. So I'm actually thinking of someday, if I move after my PhD, probably
to Canada.
No, not to Canada, but maybe if I switch from football to futsal. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That's indoor, but without the
five-a-side. Five-a-side?
Pardon?
How many players are there?
It's like 5 against 5.
Five-a-side, yeah. Five-a-side.
Yes, but they're not like you can. It's the ball is a bit smaller and a bit heavier. Yeah. I really love that. But there are, of course, only few women's teams here.
Right.
Yeah,
is there any future in mixed gender hockey or mixed gender? I did my master's at this small university town in the UK called Leicester, and there was once a hockey match between the University of Leicester and Dortmund University, another university from the same town, and it was a mixed gender team. Like each team had, let's say, X many males, Y many females, X and Y being constant, and X plus Y being constant as a corollary. And I think, yeah, and it was like a normal game. I mean, of course, none of the players who participated in that game were professionals. They were all like university students who were basically shit. And so yeah, so I mean, is this like something that is considered seriously in the world of like actual hockey?
So there is a big part of hockey that's for parents. It's not really high level, but many parents are playing hockey in the parents like with children. Like their children play hockey, and then the parents say, okay, let's go and play hockey as well, although we can't. So they play hockey, and that's usually mixed gender, the tournaments there. I think in the higher leagues, actually that's not going to happen, because it is quite dangerous. I think the danger is the biggest argument there, but I would love that. I sometimes train with the men's team when they don't have a goalkeeper and stuff, and I always, actually, also in football, I always prefer to play with boys, because it's just a different attitude.
And I'm guessing because they would usually be physically stronger, would motivate you to be better.
Yes.
In a way. Yeah. Okay. I can't not talk about this Indian film and India in general when it comes to hockey. So your dad was the coach of the German women's team when they played in the 1992 Olympics in Atlanta, was it? Barcelona, yeah. 88 was Seoul. No, 96 was Seoul. Whatever. 92.
That was where my uncle was.
Yeah. So 92 Barcelona Olympics, your dad was the coach of the German team, and Germany lost to Spain in the final, in the final, maybe in the gold medal match. And they got a silver. And you said, is it called the final, or is it just called the gold medal match?
The final.
Okay. I thought the term final was not used in the. Okay. No. Anyway, we're talking about the same thing, the gold medal match, the final. And you also mentioned at some point that your dad was offered the um, head coach position of the Indian women's hockey team,
Yes,
and he briefly considered taking it,
yes,
which as a corollary meant that you could have, I mean, you might have moved to India had he taken it.
yes.
And this was like, I think you said this was like when you were, I don't know, 10, 11 or 12, that kind
It's
of age.
frightening, of course, to move somewhere
Of
that
course, yeah.
far away, a culture that different. So
Yeah,
you
so
probably have been fine, but another.
so yeah, I mean, yeah, that goes without saying. Now, the point is, so when I was growing up in India, we were always told that hockey is a sport that India used to be very, very good at. The used to be part being key. We were always told, oh yeah, India used to be great at this sport, and now we are absolutely shit. And then we would watch highlights of, I don't know, India playing the Netherlands or something. We would see that we were not doing that. We wouldn't be doing that badly, but then we would always lose if it was against like Netherlands or Australia or I can't remember some of the other teams. So you clearly, I know a bit more about Indian hockey in general. So what is the perception of India in hockey that, let's say, you have, given
Yeah,
given
so
that, let's say, you know a bit more? Because
yes, so
weren't you
maybe
weren't yeah.
I just quickly say why my father didn't take the position in India. It's just one sentence, because at the same breath he got a position offered in Pakistan, and then he couldn't decide for one or the other. So
Yeah, Pakistan also. There was a time when they were very, very good. Well, there was a time when it was the same players, and
yes.
like yeah. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So what I think when it changed, that Pakistan and India were quite good, was when they changed from playing on natural grass to playing on artificial grass. Because as far as I know, India just didn't got along well with the change. They didn't adapt that well. I think maybe they even had problems of changing all the pitches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was the problem when India fell back a lot behind the other nations, like Netherlands, Spain, and especially
What was
the
the
European ones.
what was the reason behind changing from natural grass to artificial grass?
It's faster. It's more
Okay.
technical, and like if you play an artificial grass, imagine you swing a hockey stick and then a bit of grass flows away, so it's not even, and
Right. Okay.
that's a huge difference. So it's a huge difference to play on natural grass. I used to play some games on natural grass when I was very, very small, but
Yeah.
it's a huge difference. So they just wanted to make the sport more attractive. And of course, it's easier to take care of.
Right. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Like I went to a boarding school and we had hockey, and it was on normal grass. Well, we were told that there was a time when we used to have hockey, and apparently, some years ago, there was like this incident where one side got very violent towards the other side, and the authorities decided that it would be best to take the hockey sticks away. But yeah, and what was the connection with this film though, Chak De India? Because I remember bringing it up, completely sure that you wouldn't even know what it was, and then it turned out you knew. And then a few weeks after that, I was at a conference at the MPI, and what's her name, Andrea Lackman. So she was at the same part of the dinner table at the conference dinner, and I said to her, wait, was it to her or was it to this other guy? I mean, I brought it up that we were talking about hockey, that I was speaking about, I was talking about hockey with someone. I didn't mention you by, actually, well, she would have known you. Maybe I did mention you by name. And I was saying, like, I brought up this film, and surprisingly, she knew about it. And the person I was speaking to also knew about this film, and they made the same point that it is one of the few hockey films where a lot is shown like close to correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, so can you just give us your opinion on this film?
It's
When
an
you
awesome film. So.
How did you first get to know about it?
So I think it was when I was 8 or 9 or 10 or
Oh
something like
God,
that.
yeah.
My hockey team.
Wait, it can't have been then. If you It came
So
out in
maybe I
2000
was,
and it came
but
out
I
in
was
2007.
so maybe it was still in the youth age, so
Yeah.
maybe it was 12, 14, I don't know. So my hockey team at that point, we had an evening with popcorn and a film night. And yeah, of course, our trainer said we have to watch a hockey movie. And then we watched
Oh,
Chuck
so
in
someone
India.
knew. Okay, someone from the team knew about it beforehand.
Apparently,
Okay,
one of
okay.
the trainers, or maybe they just Googled hockey film. And then
Hockey
I
films.
think there are not many. And then, yeah,
Yeah,
we watched it. And ever since, I have it here in
yeah,
my yeah DVD collection, and ever since I watched it many times. Of course,
yeah,
it's also interesting because of the Indian culture, but
yeah.
also the hockey aspect is quite good. It's not the best, but it's the best you can do in a film.
Yeah, as you were saying, like when you were mentioning how people can, like how women players can get better when they play against male better players. Like that was a thing in the film.
Yeah.
Uh, and of course, there were lots of technical or things about coaching or training, maybe that was also not horrendously wrong. Is that true?
Yes, I think the training sessions were quite good actually.
Okay. And also, I remember, like in general, like when we watched the film, it was all about like the emotion. We of course didn't really
Yes.
know much. We knew that we could understand hockey if we watched it, if we watched like a game live, but we were also not that aware of all the words, or how some of the words were different from, like football terms. So when we watched the film, the highlights for us were, for example, when at the beginning the Kabir Khan character doesn't, like, misses that penalty, and then people get very angry at him, and he sort of goes into hiding and then comes out after, what was it, 14 years or 10 years or whatever, and then he's offered the thing. So what we connected the most with were the human side of his story in particular, not so much about what the players were doing. But yeah, but I'm guessing for you it was the other way around.
Mm, well, he's also a player after all. So for me, I connected with many of them.
Yeah,
I also know, for example, how two offenders have this fight going on of making the most
right,
goals or something
right,
like
right,
that.
right, right, right. Yeah,
But
that
of
was,
course, yeah.
yeah, that
He's
was a thing.
also a very good actor, so that's why his person is so interesting in the movies. It's really, his character is awesome.
Yeah, there were lots of, like, social things going on with that film. For example, like, of course, like the actor Shah Rukh Khan is one of the biggest film stars in India, and probably one of the biggest. I don't know if you count the number of whatever. Like he's a huge film star, and like of course he has a Muslim name, and India is majority Hindu, or majority like non-Muslim. And in most of his films, like someone told me this back in 2007 when the film first came out, that in most of his films he never played Muslim characters. Like there were like one or two exceptions, and this film was an exception. And the point that my friend was trying to make was he chose to do it because this film was going to send a very neat message about uh like unity in diversity and that kind of stuff. Like in India, unity and diversity is a huge thing. Like this phrase, unity and diversity, not diversity just like a term by itself, or unity just uh, as a term by itself. So, for example, there was a scene at the beginning of the film where all the players are gathering for the first time, and he's asking them to introduce themselves. And one of
Yes,
them says, I don't know, Harminder Kaur, Punjab, and someone
yes.
says something blah. And the blah is always the name of the part of India that they're from. And then finally,
And he
the
says
girl,
out.
yeah, exactly. And finally, the girl who goes on to become the captain of the team, what was her name? Vidya Sharma. She says Vidya Sharma, India, and Kabir Khan goes, yeah, that's the correct spirit, and we were all like, oh my god, that's so amazing, because like we were kids. I mean, you and I are of the sort of same age group. Like we were really, really very young when we were watching this, and we were like, this is so amazing. And 2007 was also the year in which in the Indian cricket team flopped at the big World Cup and then won at they won a different World Cup that happened later in the year. So we were all very, very unhappy with the performance of the Indian team at the big World Cup, just like maybe Germans are unhappy with what happened now. I am unhappy with what happened now. So and so then when India won the second World Cup, this that the title track, there was a song from the film called Chak De India. The song was called Chak De India. That song became so popular. Like
Really?
people were playing it everywhere, everywhere.
I
Because
have it a lot in my mind. Really, for me, it's quite catchy.
yeah, so that was very interesting. I mean, we knew that this film did have some kind of an international audience because it isn't exactly like other Indian films where the romance element is always overdone and that is the mainstay of the film. And this was very, yeah, we all loved it. Let's get back to your like hockey sports life, hockey football life. Uh, do you think it is? I mean, have you ever met anyone uh, in your maths life who has had something even close to something? Well, I'm not gonna say something like what you have in hockey or in football, but have you ever met someone in your maths life who has had a sports career before, or
Yes.
you have? Okay.
It's quite amazing because you really have to look out for those. So I
Mm-hmm.
had my best girlfriend during the bachelor and master. She was also a national player in the well, it's hockey on inliners or something like that. It wasn't that big because there was, so she played first league, but
Mm-hmm.
after a while I found out there was just one league, so it wasn't that big. And for example, for the national team, they didn't pay for example the journey, so you really could apply for that, and it's not like a selection, but still it was tough. But she didn't do a PhD. But now I have a colleague in my PhD who's playing chess in 2 clubs, and who's
Oh,
also doing badminton, and who's also doing athletics. And he's also training being athletic, so he's also,
it's amazing. Yeah.
yes. And he
The,
also was quite good. He was really good, but then he also got injured or something like that. Then he quit. So it's basically
the,
very similar.
there is this chess grandmaster called Matthias Blubom, who for some time was the strongest, like the highest ranked chess grandmaster, well, in classical chess in Germany. I think he is now second highest ranked. He's very, very strong. He is a student in Bielefeld, where I
Ah,
am.
really?
He is doing uh, Igor Burban, who I'm sure you met in Paderborn. He is also heavily into chess. He was one of the organizers
Ah,
uh,
yeah, I
in
didn't
Paderborn.
know.
So Igor told me that Matthias is reading a master's. He's studying a master's in economics in Bielefeld. But like other than, okay, no, you said you know someone from your PhD as well who is like this. And do you think it should be recommended as a not as a lifestyle, but if one could, one should, if one can, one should? I mean, would you recommend it like that? Because the way I think is that this is very helpful. For example, you just said that yesterday you had 3 matches. I spent the whole day in my room. I didn't even get out.
Yeah,
Like,
but to
didn't
be
even.
honest, there are 2 extremes, and my day was tough. We won all 3 games, so it was nice, but
Yeah.
it was a tough. So I think you can see it in both ways. So there are people that really get into one thing, and they do that one thing, and it's their one passion in life, and they invest everything. And that's fine, whatever it is, whether it's sports or whether it is mathematics or whether it is for my boyfriend opera singing. And there are people like me that are interested in so many things that they do many things, but maybe not too deep, or maybe they do go deep in some areas, but they would have loved to go deep in every area, but they can't. That also, it's not the quietest lifestyle, of course, but I personally love it because otherwise I would be bored. I really do a lot of things. I have here in my bookshelf, I have like a box with ideas what I do when I get bored. I have projects, I collect things I do, and I really need to do stuff, and there are things that are as big as hockey in my life, and I would never concentrate on one thing because that makes me better. But I know there are people that don't like to concentrate on many things. So I think it's about who you are and how you get along with them.
Yeah, I think like I was seeing this as a template on Facebook a couple of days ago. So there is this woman called Catherine Nesbitt who was one of the referees in, I can't remember which game. Was she a referee yesterday in the England Senegal game? I can't. I mean, she was a referee at this World Cup that's currently going on, and the template or the meme that was not the meme, the thing that was going on, going around on Facebook was that she has a PhD in chemical engineering or maybe chemistry from somewhere decent, and then she did a postdoc for 2 years at Michigan, and then something happened, and she is now a professional referee officiating at the World Cup. So I mean,
totally fine.
If this story is true, because like the post was showing the employment history of someone called Catherine Nesbitt from LinkedIn, and that it is possible that Catherine Nesbitt is not the same as this Catherine Nesbitt. But if the post is to be taken at face value, then yeah, this is quite amazing. Like you like. I mean, it would be frivolous to say you dabble your fingers in too many pies, but this is even more serious than that, clearly.
I think the key to having success is having joy at what you do.
Yeah.
And that's why I usually, well, with the things, for example, football, hockey, I have success because I really have joy doing that. And of course you can have joy doing more than one thing. And I think that's the key in life, actually.
Yeah.
To say it like
would
that.
Would you be open to taking up some other sport in the future?
Yes.
Like, I don't know, squash
there
or
are
badminton?
many sports I would love to do. I would love to do badminton. I would love to do fencing, for example.
Fencing, okay.
So, but also not only sports, I would love to learn many different languages. I would love to, don't know, I have so many ideas. And I think whatever I decided to do, I could do it if I had the sufficient amount of joy for it. So it's a coincidence that I'm a mathematician.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it was meant for me. I could have been equally a lawyer or something like that, because I really love all kinds of things, and it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you love it.
That's a good point. I mean, I wish I could say that about myself, but I don't think I can. I mean, I have a lot of passions, but for example, I used to be extremely passionate about sports writing, and sports writing in the correct way, as I would call it. I mean, I used to be very frustrated with accounts of many journalists who used to take a very lazy attitude towards statistics. As in, they would say, this player has been in great form this season, but if you look at the numbers, you will see that no, that's not quite true. For example, and this is just, of course, a very explicit, tiny example, but there used to be many instances of this happening in cricket, which is one of the sports I care about the most. And I used to feel the same way with film studies or film writing, but I never liked them enough to want to do them at a semi-professional level. For me, that thing was always maths. It doesn't mean I am good at maths. I can be shit at it and still be passionate about it. But yeah, so for me, it was always
totally fine. So my passion also stops at a certain point. Yeah. It's maybe it stops a bit deeper, but it's fine. My passion also stops at a different point. And as I said before, okay, maybe we all have 100% of passion, and maybe my passion is more equally distributed, and yours is maybe more into maths, but that's totally fine. It's passion is passion.
Yeah. And how many languages do you speak as of now?
Three fluently, a bit of French also, and Latin, but I only speak 3.
German, Spanish, English?
Yes. Yeah, because my boyfriend is Spanish.
Yeah.
We talk Spanish at home.
Yeah. And for me, it would be 3 as well. 3 or 4. Yeah. I'd love to learn more. I mean, I remember watching some thriller films. I think Jason Bourne, and he would be in Italy and he would speak Italian. He would pick up the phone in, I don't know, Germany, speak German. Like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but the thing is, in the end, you only learn a language really. So I sometimes start on Duolingo learning Ukrainian or whatever, but you really learn a language only if you really speak it. So
yeah, you have to keep practicing it,
yes.
at a decent level, and it's not always so easy. A friend of mine once learned driving from YouTube.
No.
He claimed he did.
No. No.
So yeah, so learning how to drive from YouTube or learning how to swim.
Reminds me of
from,
Sheldon Cooper.
Yeah. I think Sheldon Cooper did exactly that.
Yes.
Not from YouTube, but there was like
No,
this
we had
game
this
thing.
video game.
The simulation. Yeah. Well, I mean, final question. So when you look back at your life, at your not at your life, like at your
It's fine.
hockey,
You can say life.
at your hockey development over the years, can you point? I mean, when you like assessing it for yourself, can you point to, or do you point to certain specific moments on your development timeline where things could have gone either way, or where you could have done just one small thing differently and that would have made a world of difference?
Yes, well, I could have decided not to quit the under-16 team. Then I probably would play in the national team by now.
But there was a knee injury, wasn't there?
No, from the under-16, not. When I quit the under-16 team, that was because it was too much pressure for me. So the injury was in the adults team, in the national team a few years ago.
Right.
I couldn't have made that differently. You can't choose whether you have injury or not, but that would have been a point where I could have said, no, I keep doing that. And also I could have decided still to play for the first league after my injury.
Okay.
But to be honest, I don't regret anything I did, because now I have time for other things, and it's fun to also sometimes have a free Sunday. That's something that I never had.
I know that. Yeah. My Sundays are always well, every time a weekend approaches, I tell myself, okay, I'm gonna finish n many applications, and then I'll be into, I don't know, the middle of the Saturday and be like, okay, fine, let this day go by. I'll do it on Sunday. And then Sunday again, I'll think, well, it's already 2 p.m. and I just, not to say I just woke up, but let's do this, do that, do nothing. And then, well, it's been great having you here. A friend of mine was asking me recently if I have any podcast episodes planned, and a bit facetiously, I told him, well, Kabir Khan from Chak. This friend was Indian. He's like, yeah, Chak India. He's like, I am interviewing the daughter of the man who inspired the film. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, no, it's not. I told him it's not true, but because like there is this small parallel, like your dad was the coach of the team, and although I don't know if the rivalry between Germany and Spain is at the same mercurial level as India and Pakistan. Definitely. Strangely, India and Pakistan don't play each other in hockey. Actually, I don't know. Maybe they do. Yeah, I don't know. It's very, every time you speak to any Indian about hockey, I can guarantee you they will say the same thing. There was a time when India won gold in 5 consecutive Olympics, and there was some bizarre story which I'm pretty sure is not entirely true, or maybe it is true. Like at the when was it? At the controversial Olympics in Munich, 36, 32, 36 maybe, 36, 40, 44. Yeah, India won gold and defeated Germany. Maybe, actually, I can't get the details right. There was some game where, like, again, it was on natural grass. Okay, sorry, I forgot to bring this up earlier. Is training for ice hockey very different from training for the kind of hockey that you train for?
I think so, because at first you have to learn how to walk on ice, And then also the stick handling is different because I think they have the hockey player, you have the right hand, the left hand on the upper part, and ice hockey it's different, and you can play both sides of the stick. So I think it's really different, but I don't know, I never played it.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Jule. I'll stop recording now. I can stay on for a couple of minutes.